We're pretty international here. We've been all week. It was a pleasure to speak a little German. We'll be back in German a little later this afternoon, but now it's going to be in English. And the guest with me here is Andrew Spoeth. He's going to talk about what happens when employees get social. And it sounds like a bad thing when they get social.
A bad thing, it's a good thing. It's a good thing for them, for their brand, and for the company as well. So,
but some are afraid of it. That's why you posed the question, right?
Exactly. It changes things, and companies need to figure out how to approach it, what's a safe way to do it, and how it should be best organized.
That sounds pretty good. How to organize the change that happens when your employees get social. So I hope you managed to get your seat back, everyone, and welcome with me on stage. Give a warm hand to Andrew.
Right. All right. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here in Hanover. Thanks for coming to Rock the Blog. Thank you, Stephen, for organizing and for the invitation. So my name is Andrew Spoeth. I'm based in San Francisco, and I work for CA Technologies, which is a large global brand with 12,000 employees and offices in 40 countries, including offices in Darmstadt and München and many other European cities. So I'd like to cover 4 things that we have learned while managing a global brand on social media. 4 things which I hope you can take with you to your companies to grow your social media presence. All right, let me start with the first one. So actually before we do that, just going to quickly check this here. Let me ask you a quick question. How many of you are involved in marketing for a brand? How many of you here? How many of you are bloggers? Bloggers as well. Okay. Okay. So, here we go. Perfect. Okay. Okay. Okay, perfect. All right. So the first big takeaway, the first thing that we've learned as a company is we need to invest funds if we want to grow our social media presence. We actually, as a brand, spend around $2 million a year on paid social media. Now, why would we do that? Why do we spend money on paid social media? Anybody know? What does it give us? No? The first thing it gives us is it gives us reach. It helps our content reach more people, right? Audiences which perhaps aren't following us yet. And that's one of the benefits of paid social media. What's another benefit? Is it just more impressions? Actually, it can get you better traffic, more targeted traffic. Here's some data from eMarketer from 2014, but it still is true today. The way the algorithms work with Twitter and Facebook, they can target so well. For example, you can target the followers of your competitors or people who have liked certain things on Facebook, that those people you know are very interested in your content. So you can see here that paid Twitter traffic actually converts higher than organic Twitter traffic. And we've seen that as well. So some of the benefits of paid social media. All right. Now, I have a confession to make. I don't like the word paid social media. I don't. Why? You don't like it either, right? It sounds like you're giving up, right? It sounds like, okay, you know, a few years ago, you could post something to Facebook and everybody, all your followers would see it, right? And now you post something to Facebook, and almost none of your followers see it, right? Maybe, was it 2.2% or something see it, or 2%? It's a small number, and you kind of think, okay, we have to pay for it. It feels like you are capitulating. So I like to use a different word. I like to use the word hybrid social media. Hybrid social media, which is a combination of owned, so publishing to your own accounts, earned, which is other people talking about you, and paid. And these three things should work together, right? So owned is what we publish to our own page. Earned is if people share it, other people are talking about us. And then paid is if we use dollars to amplify that post. Let me give you an example of how that has worked. So this here is probably one of the best social media posts we ever did. It was for a conference in San Francisco. It was on IT security. It was the RSA show. And so here's how it worked. We had somebody presenting, like me, and we had slides, and we posted them to SlideShare. Does anybody know SlideShare? Yeah, SlideShare. Anybody else here? Yeah? Yeah. It's kind of like YouTube for PowerPoint presentations. So we timed it just right. We had the slides ready to go. We posted it to SlideShare, and we tweeted about it right at the right time during the keynote, and then with the hashtag RSAC. And then people like you are following along, and they say, oh, this is good. These are the slides. I'm going to share that. And then what we did is we turned that into a paid tweet. We turned that into a promoted tweet. And then we made sure that everybody who was following the hashtag, plus other people who are following security on Twitter, could see it. So all of a sudden, it got a lot more exposure, a lot more retweets, right? And then that means the retweets were cheaper and cheaper. Now, who here does Twitter advertising? Have you tried it before? Twitter advertising? Yeah, I know. A normal Twitter campaign costs about $1 per click, $1 per engagement, which is not too bad. It's cheaper than search engine marketing, but it still costs money. But here, because of all the sharing activity, we drove it down to 50 cents a share, 20 cents, 10 cents. It was actually as cheap as 4 cents per engagement. 4 cents per engagement. So very good value. And it got 1.8 million impressions. 1.8 million impressions. Not too bad, right, for just a couple $1,000s. So the power of paid social media. All right. So number two. So number one, paid social media. You have to invest in it, but you have to invest it wisely. Number two, a big differentiator is get help from your friends. Get help from your network. Get help from your employees. You can't do it alone. Number one, paid social media became relevant around 2011, 2012. That's when companies started investing in Facebook advertising, Twitter advertising. Now Pinterest has advertising, LinkedIn has advertising. This one here has really become important, I think, in the last, maybe since 2014, where you have software and more structure to this whole notion of employees sharing social media content. So let's dive into this. I think it's going to be something hot for the next couple of years as well. Why do social media advocacy? Well, number one is it gets us more reach as well, right? How many followers does your company have on social media? How many? 10,000 maybe? Or 100,000, right? This is our audience here, our brand's audience. Now, if we take that plus all of our 12,000 employees, plus our customers, how many people can we reach? Much more than 100,000. We can reach maybe 5 million, a much larger audience. So that's one reason why it's important. But there's another reason, too. Why is employee advocacy and advocacy powerful? Because you're using real people. It's not a logo. Our logo, CA Technologies, if we post something to Facebook or LinkedIn or to Twitter, it looks official. It looks like marketing material. Whereas if you post it, you're a real person with a face and a variety of interests. And that adds some authenticity to the message, right? So that's really helpful and really important, and another reason why employee advocacy helps us. A third thing is employee advocacy is a good way for employees to see what's going on in the company, right? They're all busy doing their work, focusing on their different tasks. And here, if we give them messages to share, and we use a tool called Gagalamp, but there are other tools like Sociable, for example, which is being presented on here, which help you do that. They can see what's going on in the company, and they don't have to follow all the emails. So it's very useful for that as well. Now, let me go back here. Okay, I don't have any. Now, employee advocacy is started in the U.S. It's more popular there, and in Europe, it has started later because of privacy laws and that sort of thing. But at CA Technologies, we started in October with our European team, and since then, the program has really taken off. And we have now around 60 of our German and British and French, Italian colleagues actively participating in the program. So it's a big, big deal for us. In fact, worldwide, we have had over 200 million impressions on those posts. 200 million impressions just by our employees sharing that. And we can track the impressions, we can track which messages they like to share, which messages they don't like to share, and we can even see how many clicks. And so through this program, and we don't pay any money for this, only the software, we've had 300,000 clicks. 300,000 clicks. So do the math. If we had to run advertising for that, for 300,000 clicks, let's say through Google, it would be like $2.50 per click, maybe, on average. That would be around over $3 million. Over $3 million saved just because we're working with our employees. So very, very powerful. Okay. And the last benefit is it's good for the employees too. Many employees want to build their reputation, build their brand online. Their boss says, you work in sales, you need to develop your social media presence. Well, that's hard. That takes time. That takes work. So for us, this is like content as a service. People talk about software as a service. Here, this is content as a service. We do the hard work. The marketing team does the hard work for you. And then all you have to do is just go into the platform and click, yes, I want to share, or I want to share this tomorrow, and so on. All right. So number one was leverage hybrid and paid social media. Number two, employee advocacy. Number three, as you are growing your social media with paid, with your employees, you have to make sure that you don't lose the tone and the social aspect of social media. You have to try to keep it human here. How do you do that? Well, make sure that you are listening to what people are saying on social media. Don't just schedule posts and then walk away, right? Okay, we posted this or we scheduled it, job done. Yes, awesome, now the next project. No. Make sure you're watching for comments, seeing who is following you. Follow them back. Follow those people back every day. See who followed you. Also, watch what people are saying when it comes to certain keywords. Which keywords are important to your industry? Monitor for those keywords and then follow those people. Answer questions. Be helpful. Be genuinely helpful on social media. Does that make sense? I'll give you an example with Twitter and how we approach it and how try to keep it human. So we found a list of influencers in our space. We work in the software space. And find a list of, let's say, 20 people. Put them on a Twitter list. And then just look at that list every day, the list of people who are influencers. And then watch what they're posting. If they're writing a blog post, read the blog post. Take the 2 minutes and write a comment on the blog post saying, thank you very much for sharing. I really agreed with point number 2. And then share it with your network, right? Build the equity, build the relationship. Take the time, right? It's important. As you scale social, make sure you don't lose the social part of social media. Very important. It's a big, big opportunity, right? Make a difference in somebody's day. We had a nice surprise, our social media team, a little while ago. There was an analytics company that was studying how Fortune 500 brands use social media. And they looked at their Twitter presence. And we were a Fortune 500 brand when they did this study. And we actually ranked number 3 in the world for Twitter equity. We were very surprised. But you know how they calculated this? Not by number of followers, because we can't compete with FedEx or Starbucks or Home Depot or MasterCard. These are huge, huge brands. CA Technologies, we're a $4 billion company. Not small, but we're not that well known. How we did it is we engaged with our Twitter followers. We liked their posts. We followed them back. We commented on their posts. That's all we did. Do it every day. You can totally do that. And you can help raise the equity, build more social currency. It's worth it. Another idea, many of you are bloggers here. Why don't you also comment on blogs and offer influencers in your space a chance to guest blog for you? Write a guest blog post for that for you. I tried that. I tried that once. I was running our blog. I don't run our blog anymore, but I didn't have enough content for our blog. Right? Does it sound familiar? Right? How do you get content? You can pay content creators. You can bug your engineers to write content. So what I did is I wrote a short call for bloggers. I put it on the landing page. I was saying, do you like to write? Are you an expert in these fields? I put it on our website. I put it on Twitter. And people started applying. In fact, some of our customers said, I'll blog for you. And that worked so well because this customer was a domain expert in our industry. Of course, they talked nicely about our product. And for the customer, it was really good because the customer now has all this exposure, right? And the customer will become a little bit famous. Wonderful, wonderful opportunity. So offer your customers guest blogging opportunities. Has anybody tried that here, by the way? No? Yeah, try it. Good opportunity. Okay, so keep it human. You know, when your customers or your prospective customers are looking at your social media properties, they get an impression, a first impression. They look at, okay, how vibrant is it? Are they answering quickly? What's their tone like? Is it professional? Is it helpful? And then, at least subconsciously, they're building a picture of what the relationship, what the marriage will be like. Right? So it's very, very important that you have a vibrant social presence. Very important. All right, and number 4. This is more internal for your company, and very relevant because for our company, we're 12,000 employees in different offices, different countries. Just as a large, thriving external community is compared to a tree, the root system is necessary to help that grow and to sustain it, to keep it strong, help it thrive. And your internal root system is going to help your external community thrive. Now, what does that mean if I'm talking about your internal structure? Well, number 1, it would mean, for example, that your executives, that your management understands the value of social and has bought into it, right? Not always easy, but you need to work on that, right? Number 2 is budget, right? Budget for your social media programs, to hire people, personnel, all of that is part of this system below the ground which will help the tree grow. Budget, time, buy-in. right? Okay, so let me share you some things that we did, that I did when I started my job. One of the first things I did was I had to define success. How do you define success with social media? Because the problem with social media is there's so much hype about it. There's different channels, and different people have different ideas of what success means in social media. Is it likes, shares, sentiment, number of brand mentions? So I said, okay, wait a minute. We're going to start with a clean slate and define very clear boundaries. And then we're going to work to beat those targets. So number one was audience. That's the foundation. Without an audience, nobody's listening. So audience is page likes, followers, subscribers. You can count it. You can check in every month. How are all of your accounts doing? That's a foundation. But then it gets interesting. Engagement. That is a measure of how often people are clicking on your content, right? So there, it's really a matter of how good is your content, how frequently are you publishing, right? So everything related to content views, we define as engagement. So even one video view is defined as an engagement action, right? One SlideShare presentation view, one blog post view, all of those things get added up. And we say, okay, this week we did this. Can we do better next week? Can we do better this week? How did the blog compare to YouTube for engagement? How did Twitter compare to LinkedIn? Right? You need a steady definition across different channels so you can compare the different channels. The next key performance indicator, the next KPI, is related to engagement, but it deals specifically with the sharing action. So this is especially true. This is the magic of social. Is your content remarkable, as Seth Godin would say, which means, is it worth passing on and telling your friends about it, right? And some content is. If it's funny or if it's going to make you look smart, it's worth passing on. So we measure that. So one retweet is an amplification action, one share action. We count them for each channel, and we count them per week. And we set targets for that. And the team says, I'm going to try to beat that target. And Twitter is trying to outdo Facebook, and so on. And then the fourth metric at the top of the pyramid is the most difficult for social media marketers, but this is how many leads, how many new business contacts did I generate last month or last week with social media? You can measure that in a couple of ways. One is using URL parameters when you code the links so that you know in your marketing automation platform that visitor came from Twitter. You can count that. Another way is through a social listening. If you're monitoring conversations, you may see somebody complaining about a customer product. Guess what? You can start a conversation, and that could be a lead from social media. So this is how we defined it at CA Technologies, and it worked really well because the executives could see, okay, I see why they are investing in audience development because that will lead to greater engagement and sharing activity. Sharing activity will also lead to further engagement, but there's an amplifier, and you keep on doing that, and then some engagement will be linked to conversions, right? So very, very helpful. So you should take a fresh look at how you define success with social media, because when you do that, it will allow you to focus on a couple of key tasks, and then say, yes, we did it, we hit the target, and here's how it adds value to the business. All right. A few things to be careful when you're talking about social media. Choose your words carefully. I like to use the active voice when I'm speaking. Don't just say something happened. Use words like prioritize. Prioritize is helpful because it tells the listener that you have many things to choose from, many different channels, but we have focused on 4 core channels that are most important to our audience. We've prioritized. So that's a valuable thing to include. Benchmark, also a very powerful word. Why? Because it shows you have an understanding of the marketplace, what your competitors are doing, and that you are building upon something which is a baseline. How about this? Is this a good phrase to use? We don't know yet? Good or bad? I think it's okay. Why? I mean, social media is still evolving very quickly, and there are some things we won't know yet. But if you identify what you don't know, then you can have a plan to fill that knowledge gap. So I think it's a strength to say what you know and what you don't know. It shows some maturity. But just make sure there are some things you do know as well. Okay, how about this one? Quick quiz. Is this good or bad? Good or bad? Bad. Why? Because it just talks about activity and it doesn't talk about results. Maybe you published 10 tweets and they got no clicks, right? But if you published one tweet and it got 200 clicks, then you're talking about more results, right? The engagement actions. What about this one? We got X video views last week. Good or bad? Good, bad, not too sure. Okay. It's okay, but here's a better way to say it. I think this is a better way to say it. YouTube drove X engagement actions last week. This is an active voice. It drove, right? And this implies, oh, there was a strategy and they're trying to drive engagement using whatever channels, in this case, YouTube, right? So it shows intent of the marketer to drive certain business results. Whereas this previous one is, we got 100 video views, but did it happen magically? You know, it doesn't put you in control. That's why I don't like it. So communicate using words that relate to purposeful action in social media. All right. So what else does it mean to communicate well internally? Well, you need to keep your employees safe on social media. So what does that mean? Talk to your legal department and build guidelines for your team, for your employees, so they know what they can post and what they can't post, right? Some things are evident, but some things are a little bit gray. So help your employees understand and work with your legal team to keep them safe. And give them training as well. In our company, we have one person who spends time on this to develop training courses, LinkedIn 101, how to write the perfect social media post. We put this program together called Social University, Social U, very, very popular. Because a lot of people, I mean, most of us use social media a lot, but it took time to get there. And a lot of people are really smart in their field, but they don't know social media, and they're afraid to ask. So you need to help them. And another thing, social media office hour. I do this every 2 weeks. Open door policy. Anybody can drop in, and it's wonderful. I get to meet all sorts of random people in the company, no agenda, and they can ask questions. All right. Just going to skip through this here. All right. And then lastly, I think it's important, if you are leading marketing within your company or leading social media, you need to think about why you're doing that and how you fit in. It's not just about your budget or your team or your plans and your results. Well, your results are very, very important, but it's also about you being an example and being a leader, right? Let me do a quick demonstration. In a previous life, I was a part-time conductor, this kind of conductor. So I'm just going to do a little bit of an experiment here, if you're with me. So on my cue, I want you to pretend you are the orchestra and your instrument is your voice. And I want you to say the word now when I conduct the word now. Okay? Shall we try that? Yeah? Okay. It's been a little while since I've conducted, and so let's see how this works. All right, so you're all watching, and then I'm going to give you the cue, and you say now. Ready? Try it again. Okay. Not too bad. You're a little bit shy, right, because there's people watching. Now, let me try it a little bit differently. I'm going to try it a little bit differently. Okay, ready? I think that was better, right? I'll try it once more. Ready? Oh, that was better. That was better. Why was it better? Because I was doing it too. I spoke that time and I breathed. The first time I just did, right? Come on, guys, work, right? Like that. But here I was also leading. I was involved, and I was demonstrating how it's done by now. Much easier to follow. And we learn by example. On social media, we learn by example. So think about your own social media presence. Think about how people are watching you and leading by example. Very, very important. So let me just see here. I just want to show you one more thing here. Where is social media headed? What's the evolution of social media? Social media became really important about 2008, 2009 here. And then these are the different stages your company go through. Number one is figure out, okay, we have a presence, we have a Facebook page, we have a Pinterest page, and now we're going to track the followers and subscribers. Okay, check. We did that. You're already there. Number two is tracking how much action is taking place on social media. How many clicks, how many engagement actions, how many video views. Most people are doing that now, right? That's stage 2 of the evolution of social media. Stage 3 is if you are tracking that to your sales, right? So here, if you can see if somebody clicks on a link and then fills out a form and becomes a customer, that's connecting your social media engagement to business results. Not always easy to do, but some companies are able to do that now. We have a system to do that. And if you're interested, I can share afterwards. Number 4, very few companies are doing this, and I think this is probably the next couple of years. And this is connecting all the clicks and follows with actual tweets and conversations and comments, and having that in one single place in your CRM, in Salesforce or Marketo or Eloqua, to connect the dots. Is somebody asking a question on Twitter, and does that lead to other actions, right? Right now, it's disconnected. And because it's disconnected, we're not using it, we're not truly keeping the social on social. And the 5th one, which is I think maybe 3 or 5 years away, is it's not just your brand communicating with your customers, but it's also my employees, my engineer, my CEO, my product marketer. All of this should be orchestrated, right? It should be coordinated and tracked centrally. And I don't think anybody does that right now. So this is like many-to-many communication coupled with email, with sales conversations, with website visits. So that's the evolution of social. I think that's where we're headed. I think I think I'm having trouble clicking here, but I'm just got to go back. Well, let me just walk through the 4 things again. So number 1 was paid social media is very important now, so do it wisely. You can run campaigns, you can use an agency, make sure you track results. Number 2, leverage your fans, your customers, your advocates to help you spread the message in a more authentic way with a human voice and further. Number 3 is keep it human, keep the social and social. Number 4 is communicate well with your stakeholders, track the right things, use action words, and build a strong foundation. So with that, I encourage you and I wish for all of you to now take this information and apply it to your own businesses and to your own success. So thank you very much. I'll be around here to take questions.
Thank you very much, Andrew. Well, yeah, because our next speaker is already waiting, I just sent you to the cappuccino bar, and then people can pick you up there.